Okay, I have some claims to make today. That I'm going to claim that we have more information about Higgs bosons than CERN. And I'm going to present that evidence. And they claim that it is a matter swimming through an ocean that creates, of space, that creates mass. And I agree with that. And the ocean of space, in space, is ether. And I have every bit of this fully shown, and you will see it you won't have to just think about it. You'll actually see it. And they say that they found 5.2 sigma constitutes the first observations exceed the 5 sigma threshold physicists require to decide whether this may be a Higgs boson. Well, we exceed that, and you will see this, not just theorize it. You're going to see it like this. You're going to see it in pictures, like accelerated light. That's laser light being accelerated. So this is what I'm going to claim you will see in this video. Accelerated light, which crashes back into the unrestricted space and creates this Cherenkov radiation and atomization, and the Higgs field particles, which are the charged field carriers. And those are called the boson particles. You will see the Higgs fields which surround those boson particles and create very distinct disks. With you also see the polarized ether, which is within those circular disks, which are the identical disks that you would see surrounding a wire carrying electricity. You'll see these fields actually split when they collide and they invade each other's regions. You'll actually see the right-hand rule of the spinning of the particle to the right, which will be shown drifting to the left. You'll see with a simple magnetic presentation how atoms are held at bay in an exact distance, a quantum distance, and how the invasion of the nucleus by electrons is truly what the nuclear core is made of. So you'll see all these things. You'll see them. I'm not just talking about it. You will see them in stark, or whatever you want to call it, stunning visual, and that's what you're going to see. So my claim is we have more proof than they have. So, as far as I'm concerned, I can make this statement. Well, all I can say is that CERN has endorsed Mud Fossil University research into light, and we have presented them with every single thing that they have asked for. Now, it says who gets their mass from the Higgs. This is just recently, June 4th, like last week, Fermi National Accelerator Labs. Now, this is physics.org. Now, and here's their explanation. It says the Higgs field is like an endless ocean through which all matter swims. It's called ether. Some particles are like sponges and sop up mass as they lumber along, while others are as sprightly as tiny minnows and dart right through the ether. The Higgs theory is a beautifully simple explanation as to why some particles are massive while others are not. That is true. It is very simple. But not all predictions of the Higgs theory have been experimentally tested yet. Well, maybe not all of them, but I have some that are extremely well tested, and I'm going to show you that exact evidence right now. Okay, I sent this out to all the universities I could find, basically, to their physics departments, and nobody responded. I did ask, please acknowledge receipt of interest. I'm willing to explain. Now, and I sent these, and I described exactly what's going on in each one of these photos, and I will now. Let's start with this one right here. This is what's called a light disk. All right, I mean, it's actually a pulse red laser. And that is the head of the pulse, and it is exciting all the particles around it because of the darkness that it is in right now. Now let's go forward from that one. Now that is that same field, and it's a field, and the field is now being sucked into this venturi, and you can see those little bitty tiny white particles are literally the light particles, and now they are invading each other's region and becoming extremely explosive, and they glow with the white Cherenkov radiation. This is a venturi. I have this explained in extreme detail in a bunch of videos. Now, and it cascades out of here in extreme atomized plasma, and then it begins to settle into the boson particles, which are the charged carriers. And then this is actually what light looks like when it spins down through the disk, and if it enters through the top of the slit, it goes that way. If it enters through the bottom of the slit, it goes this way, and most of it enters through the center. That's what the patterns are that they find. It has nothing to do with particles and waves. It is a particle spinning, and the spin makes it look like a wave if you look at it from the side. Coming out of the venturi, you have the highly energized Cherenkov radiation, and as these particles step down in intensity and crash into the unrestricted space, they display their fields extremely well. And these are the little dots, are the polarized ether particles that line up in the pattern of the magnetic field which surrounds the boson particle, which is a negative particle going through space, creating a field around it identical to what happens in a wire if you put magnetic filings around a wire and put electricity through it. They stack up exactly in those patterns. All right, so this is what I am showing, and I sent this to all these people and got no responses. Let's see what else we have here. All right, that was right over the top of the venturi, the accelerated plasma, and I explained this to all. And then it starts to step down into its normal spinning disks. That is the right-hand rule. Extremely impossible to not understand that. Light is spinning out of our accelerator this way. It is elongated in the periods until it starts to crash into space and crush. It is spinning to the right. That means the particle will drift to the left. That's what we have there. Everything they're asking for is here. The Higgs particle, the Higgs fields, the boson particles, the Cherenkov radiation, the acceleration, the neutrino fields, the rainbow fields, even the lepton colors, which lilac is the lepton color. So, and then we also have these discs. Well, let me show you this. All right, I didn't even send them this. I didn't think they were quite ready for this. All right, here's the Cherenkov, here's the boson particles, here's the Higgs fields. Look at this one. This one is rocket ship fast. Now, all I can show you is what happened. And here is what happened when that particle interacted with the next particle. And here it is right here. It crashed into this field, and it looks to me like it's stepping down to another field similar to this, and it has ejected something. Whatever that is. I mean, it's a little spinner, I can tell you that. It looks like a little mini light trumpet, I call it. And I don't know if it will grow to be this size. I don't know what its energy value is. I don't know if this had more energy than that. I don't know if it was heavier to begin with, or it's just spinning faster and has more mass because of the spin. I don't know any of these things. But someone should investigate it that has more abilities than I have. All I can do is look and see. All right, so that's what we got. And to prove my point, here we are with my good friends Latham's Crazy Machines toys. And here's what's going to happen. He is going to simulate everything I've been talking about, which is the nuclear and the electronic interaction, which holds electrons crushing themselves in the core, because there is no neutrons. It's all positives and negatives. They crush each other into a mass, and then they repel because they get to a point where it can't accept any more electrons. Then it repels the incoming electrons exactly like this. Boop, there it goes. Now, what is he doing now? He's just showing matter. No big deal, just matter. Now, as he shakes it and moves it around, that electron will be jumping around trying to interact, and that is what's called heat. All right, he's starting to heat it up. A little bit of heat, a little bit of heat, a little more heat, a little more heat, a little more, a little more, a little more. Boy, I got to get out of here, man. I'm going to go flying off as light. If you keep shaking me, I'm going to go. And all of a sudden, it'll just take off as light. You see that? Whoop, there it goes. That's light. All right? Heat and light demonstrated. Quantum distance demonstrated. As these additional electrons fill up in their orbitals, they will fill up further, and they will stay at exact distances from that one, then exact distance from that one to this one, and they will line up in those fields that I showed in my Higgs fields. There's no difference. Okay, and what I just demonstrated was the Higgs fields, the polarization of the particles of the ether that are in the Higgs fields. And this brings up a point of like Einstein has his special relativity thing. Well, I have special ether. Okay, ether. There's two flavors of ether. There's ether within matter, and it exists in the region where there are nucleuses. And then there is ether, which is not in the region of nucleuses, and that is free ether. So there's two ethers. There's captive ether and there's free ether. And that is my new, special theory. Okay, you can easily do this at home for very little money. All we used was a GLM 15 Bosch construction laser. It's a red pulsed laser. Very inexpensive. And it shoots out the red pulses of laser, and through here we put a couple of construction nails. Now, just so you fully understand, Rodney Warren in Australia did this research, he was just playing around trying to figure out what he could see in light. And he was actually thinking he saw some actual dimensional creatures in there. And he sent me all kinds of pictures, thousands of pictures really, and the ones I'm showing you are some of the ones he sent me. But these are the things he picked up in his light experiments, and he was doing through a slit containing two metal pins, which were construction nails, and those two metal pins forced with that curvature the light waves, which are like this, to restrict into a pinpoint, which forces them to accelerate. And there is no option whatsoever. They have to accelerate. Absolutely no option whatsoever. So they accelerate. And that is light accelerating. So I'm saying that Einstein was not correct. And when that light comes out of the venturi, it collides with an unaccelerated region, and it atomizes, and it becomes plasma and chaos. And it just tries to get away from each other on as much extreme distance as it can put in. And as it gets away from here, the quantum distance just sort of separates, and it begins to break down into these disk forms, which are the Higgs fields. And they're headed by each one of the particles that come out of here. And then they slowly begin to reform, well, not slowly really, but pretty quick. They reform back into their spinning little red disks. All these pictures were taken with a cell phone. Simple, like iPhone. And this was 2-3 years ago, 3-4 years ago now. And I've lost touch with Rodney over the last couple of years, and I cannot reattach with him. So you're welcome to try this yourself. Just get one of these little lasers, get a couple pins, and do your slit experiments and see what you get. I've shown all the stuff, the patterns we got. Now, I did a bunch of them too, but I didn't have the time or the expertise Rodney had. So you're going to have to play around with it. Make sure you do it in the dark. Make sure you have a moist environment, because that'll really give you a lot of ether in the air, because those are the particles that attach to moisture molecules primarily. And then you'll see all the interference in the air. That's all I can tell you. And I had prisms. I tried all this stuff with prisms too, but there was no need to go too much further than what Rodney showed me. I mean, it's not. I can't see a human being on the face of this planet that can argue with any of that factually and say, "Oh, that means nothing. It means nothing." And that is what I'm getting. So I think it's time for somebody else to try to do this and to try to see if it can work. Nobody else apparently has tried. They thought it was impossible, so they never tried. Well, it's not impossible, and I have the evidence to show that it is not impossible, and this is all you need to show yourself. All right, so thank you.